Is this a cursing name to you? More, give it up to this guy. Aye! Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Now tell me, why should a Nigerian youth waste away? Can you see what these guys are doing? And information reaching me that they're doing this around the world. What is that talent you have in you? Tell your neighbor, don't waste. I can't hear you. Tell your neighbor, don't waste. I will not waste, so don't waste. Give it up to the Beola Choir again. That was very wonderful. Let me just quickly recognize these people, and we move straight to what we have in our agenda. Just under the senior regional overseers again, I have just these 3 names to call. Give them a round of applause, then we move ahead. Let's welcome Pastor Kayode Adedoyin. Thank you very much. Let's welcome Professor Shade Akinshola from College of Medicine, University of Lagos. And let's welcome Pastor Boye. Pastor Boye. Thank you very, very much. We're moving into one of the significant reasons why we are here, having enjoyed all that we have enjoyed. And I think I will not do that. I need to bring up an eminent personality to bring up the man that is coming up next. So welcome with me on this podium, your own registrar, my own boss, and that is no other person than Mr. Adebobola, as he does a citation for the guest lecturer for today. Please, are you clapping?
May I request the guest lecturer to rise? Thank you, sir. The visitor to the university, ably represented by our own AGO, Pastor Adebola, the Vice Chancellor, top government functionaries, religious and spiritual leaders, scholars and friends of Mountaintop University, students of Mountaintop University, empowered to excel, sponsors, parents, guardians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Standing before us is a colossus of our time, an academic giant, and that places Mountaintop University in the eye of history today. This university is celebrating the 2nd edition of its Distinguished Lecture Series. As this implies, this type of lecture is to be delivered by only distinguished personality, because only the deep can be called to the deep. The choice of authorities of Mountaintop University for this 2nd edition is remarkably a giant and an accomplished scholar, an astute researcher, an administrator par excellence, a great projector of tradition, yet a highly devoted, godly individual, a man of noble character and of proud genealogy, and indeed an octopus with imprints of excellence in virtually all spheres of life. It is therefore a great honor and pride to this university that such a global man of excellence is delivering our 2nd edition of our Distinguished Lecture Series. Ordinarily, our guest lecturer hardly requires any introduction. Tolu Odugbemi is a household name and a global brand. However, for the sake of convention and to fulfill all righteousness, I have been saddled with this responsibility to attempt his introduction And of course, you don't introduce great men, you only present them. So my assignment is just to present him to this audience before he comes forward. After all, our Lord Jesus Christ, despite being our God and our Lord and Savior, had a forerunner in John the Baptist, who prepared his way for his ministry. Our own distinguished lecturer was born in Ado-Ekiti on 30th January 1945. Tolu Odugbemi shared a proud ancestral lineage with the late D.K.Olukoya, the author of Ogboju Ode Ninu Igbo Irumale. That classic that was later translated to English by Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka as The Forest of 1,000 Demons. Our lecturer had a brilliant primary education at Emmanuel School, Ado-Ekiti, and St. Stephen's Anglican School, Ikare Akoko. He thereafter proceeded to the prestigious Christ School, Ado-Ekiti, in 1958. He passed out in flying colors in 1964. He thereafter enrolled in the College of Medicine of the University of Lagos to study medicine, and at the same time registered as a foundation student of microbiology. He effectively combined this with his studies as a medical student. In that regard, he successfully bagged Bachelor of Science BSc Honors Second Class Upper Division in 1970 and Bachelor of Medicine MBBS in 1972. Thereafter, he attended University of Toronto, that's the original Toronto, not the fake Toronto, in Canada, where he obtained a diploma in bacteriology. He had his Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, from the University of Sheffield in the United Kingdom in 1978, and Doctor of Medicine in 1982 from the University of Lagos. I thought we'd give him a round of applause. Now let me add this. Prior to this, he completed his training in medical microbiology at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Idiaraba, and thereafter qualified as a fellow of the West African College of Physicians in 1976. It is noteworthy that he's a foundation fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College, that's why it's referred to FMC PATS, as well as the fellow of Royal College of Pathologists, United Kingdom, that's FRC PATS, that you heard from the chairman the other time. So let's give him a round of applause for that. He had a distinguished academic career in the university system. He rose to become the foundation professor and head Department of Medical Microbiology and Parasitology, Faculty of Health Sciences, University of Ilorin between 1983 and 1985. He was also professor and head Department of Microbiology, College of Medicine, University of Lagos, honorary lecturer, Department of Medical Microbiology, University of Sheffield, United Kingdom, 1976 to 1978. Guest researcher, Center for Disease Control, CDC, Sexually Transmitted Diseases, Research Laboratory, and Center for Infectious Diseases, Atlanta, Georgia, USA, 1981 to 1982. He was also a former honorary consultant microbiologist, Lagos University Teaching Hospital. He equally served as college dean, School of Basic Medical Sciences, and college provost, College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Between 2002 and 2003, he was a member, Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, and later president and chairman of the governing board of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, 2002 to 2003. Professor Odugbemi is a renowned scholar who has contributed immensely in the area of rich academic publications. He served as editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Quarterly Journal of Hospital Medicine. He also served as editorial consultant to other medical journals. He was the founder and coordinating editor, Nigerian Journal of Health and Biomedical Sciences. He has well over 200 first-class research works in microbiology and related areas in reputable national and international journals and similar publications. Even up till now, it is remarkable that Professor Odugbemi has not relented, as he is still an active contributor and author. Among his recent publications are Online and Picture of Medicinal Plants from Nigeria and a textbook of medicinal plants from Nigeria. These are great works which capture details on medicinal plants and their applications and usefulness in Nigeria. Apart from this area, he recently launched a book in the University of Lagos to share his unique experience as a pioneer vice-chancellor of a university in Nigeria. Remarkably, Professor Odugbemi was appointed Vice-Chancellor of the University of Lagos on 30th April in 2007. He contributed immensely to the upliftment of academic standards of that university in all spheres during his tenure, which ended on 30th January 2010. Shortly after, he was appointed the Vice-Chancellor of Ondo State University of Science and Technology, Okitipupa. Despite the daunting challenges, he was able to put the university on the path of sustainable growth and development. Professor Odugbemi has received numerous awards, honors, and distinctions. He was awarded the highest honor of Distinguished Fellow of the Medical College of Nigeria, DFMC, by the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria for his outstanding contributions to the medical profession. He also received the most prestigious fellowship award of the Nigerian Academy of Science. That's Fellowship of Nigerian Academy of Sciences. He is a proud recipient of the highest academic honor in Nigeria for outstanding and distinguished academic scholarship. That is the Nigerian National Order of Merit on 6 December 2007. I want to hear your round of applause for this great man. Not only that, he was duly recognized and honored by the federal government of Nigeria in February 2008, and he was conferred with the National Honors of Officer of the Order of Niger, OON, by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His alma mater in the United Kingdom, Sheffield University, similarly recognized his positive contributions to the upliftment of education. On 21st July 2011, the University of Sheffield conferred on him an honorary degree of Doctor of Science on DSc. Professor Odugbemi's legendary attributes and outstanding qualities are duly recognized by the keepers of tradition and even the Church of God. He has been conferred with different chieftaincy titles, and the few ones to be mentioned here: Alatushe of Okegbo, Bekoni of Ondo Kingdom, and the Fiwagboye of Okeayedu Ekiti. Let's give him a traditional round of applause. He is also the Baba Ijo elect of St. Luke's Anglican Church, Okegbo, and his conferment is to hold this weekend in his hometown, Okegbo, Ondo State. We congratulate you, sir. Well, Professor Tolu Odugbemi is happily married to his heartthrob, Chief Mrs. Titi Odugbemi, and the union is blessed with illustrious children and grandchildren. However, before I close this presentation, I want to say, given the foregoing exemplary qualities inherent in Professor Odugbemi, one becomes curious about his background. It is noteworthy that the Odugbemis have a proud and cherished family history and tradition. His paternal grandparents from Okegbo, Fatosa Fagunwa Fabumi, mother of Afin Biejo, and Odugbemi converted to Christianity and rechristened Philip. His father, who passed on in November 1979, was also named Benjamin Adeniran Odugbemi. Pa Benjamin Odugbemi was a teacher in many schools and later became principal of Ekiti Guest School, Ado Ekiti, in 1954. He later was appointed district supervisor, DS, of schools in Akoko with headquarters in Ekare Akoko. Incidentally, Professor Odugbemi's mother, Mama Dorcas Ileola and Odugbemi Nifaseun, was also a teacher. Mama was the granddaughter of Chief Columbus Fasiun and Ekiti Prince, who later became a timber merchant and contractor in Ondo. The history could go on and on, as the case may be for our guest lecturer. But our guest lecturer could easily be referred to as Omobolanle or Omo teacher. That is the child with the silver spoon in his mouth. And is also the child of a teacher. And you know a child of a teacher will never fail. Will always fly high. So let's give our lecturer another round of applause. Before I call him up finally, I want to just mention it is not surprising that over the years, Professor Odugbemi has developed a rich kind of quality and attributes, and that is benevolence and mentorship, which runs through all his life. He has, through this, touched so many lives very positively. Those that he particularly took interest in is our own father in Mountaintop University and in MFM. That's our own daddy, Dr. Daniel Tolu Odugbemi, the visitor to this university. Professor Odugbemi was at our first matriculation during the official opening of the university, and he briefly told us the unique aspects of the years of fruitful relationship between him and our own visitor. Our revered visitor, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is against this background, therefore, that I want to present to this distinguished audience also a distinguished academic colossus, a towering giant, a medical microbiologist of note, a parasitology of distinction, a prodigious researcher, a seasoned administrator, an international scientist of repute, a Nigerian National Merit Award winner, an officer of the Order of Nigeria, the Bekoni of Ondo Kingdom, the incoming Baba Ijo, and the indeed Professor of Professors, Professor Tolu Odugbemi, as he delivers our second distinguished lecture today. Thank you, sir.
Please sit down. I sincerely thank the registrar for the wonderful research he has done on Tolu Odugbemi. To be honest, I couldn't believe the person he was talking about. But when he now turned to me, I realized he was talking maybe about me. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much. Today is certainly a unique day. First of all, I have to thank the visitor of Mountaintop University and the general overseer of Mountain and Fire Miracles Ministry, Dr. Daniel Tolu Odugbemi, the representative of our GO, the entire MFM family, the chairman of the board of trustees of MTU, our vice chancellor, Professor Elijah Ayolabi and the wife, the management of Mountaintop University, the ceremonies committee headed by Professor Amos Akiwande. I actually thank God that I'm now delivering this lecture following the first lecture that was delivered by Vice Chancellor Professor Ayolabi, a foremost professor of applied geophysics. I appreciate the fact that MTU is a university founded by a great pastor, a first-class scientist of our time. When in school, When in school, I appreciated a song, a hymn, found in many hymnals. And in Christ School Adekiti, we enjoy singing that. If you can just take the first verse with me. Christ is our cornerstone. Please. Christ is our cornerstone. Two things alone, the cause of heaven are free. On his great love, the host we proclaim. God. Thank you very much. Honestly, there is nothing we do without going to have God. God is great in whatever we do. I've appreciated all for participating in this matriculating ceremony of our dear students. I congratulate you, the first batch, then the second batch, and we also congratulate our great parents for the privilege of being here today to witness this ceremony. We thank all our professors, all our visiting representatives of various VCs, and the entire management of the university system. In all honesty, I appreciate this university. I'm thoroughly touched with what I'll be able to see this morning. So my topic is just fundamental issues in running new universities in Nigeria. You will notice that I have outlines. The outlines portrayed introductory remarks, issues relating to institutional governance. Institutional governance is very important, relating to vision and mission. I enjoyed the lecture or the charge by the AGO this morning. He has virtually handled that aspect of my introductory remarks on vision, because he has said it all. If you are a human being, you have no vision, you are lost. How much more if you are an institution and you have no vision, you are lost. So there must be a important aspect of having institutional governance as one of the fundamental issues of running universities. So therefore, your vision must be sound. Your mission will also be sound. Human resources. Before human resources, institutional governance is very important. In this area, the governance may be in relationship to what you may call Board of Trustees. It may be University Council. It may be University Senate. It may be various committees of the university. And invariably, all these various bodies must be as democratic as possible. So institutional governance is very important. Human resources too, you cannot make progress if you do not have good human material to get your work going on. Funding, the program quality, ICT structure, world-class university, critical issues for development of universities, challenges, and way forward. My approach today is going to be as simple as possible. And it's not going to be based on any technical expressions. It's going to be rather based on what we have left undone or poorly done towards achieving our desired positive goals in running great universities. So the focus is on resources, development in relation to achievement in any human endeavor. Essential components for running good universities have been itemized. Motivation, that is motivation, mission statement, that must also have vision and mission. Institutional governance, depending on whatever you want to do, whether it is council, it is board of trustees, it is A and P, whatever it is, must be very sound. Human resources, the qualification, student selection, funding, program quality, information and communication technology issues. I believe you can follow this lecture via the various wonderful ICT material put forward. So we try to follow as much as possible. The next slide. Universities are generally centers of excellence and also of innovation. And it's supposed to be communities of scholars and students. There must be sound research output. There must be decent teaching and learning environment. Character is very important, especially for a faith-based university like this great MTU. And we must also have collaborative efforts in carrying out research, both locally and internationally. Entrepreneurship is another area which I will briefly talk about. I will plead with you to pay attention to the PowerPoints, because I notice people are looking at the pamphlet, because most of the things in the pamphlet are already reorganized. Universities, as I've said, are centers of excellence. First and foremost, communities of scholars and students committed to searching for knowledge in certain specific areas. So for knowledge generation, research is knowledge dissemination, that's teaching, and knowledge application, that's community service. You have the next slide. I'm asking that question. Could this be designed as assembled in Nigeria today? I know very soon, the way I see Mountaintop University, they'll be able to do wonders. And God is God of power and majestic God. There's an equipment called Da Vinci robotic surgical machine. Some years back, I had cancer of the prostate. Very good friends assembled to ensure that this man, we will help him to have the best management possible. And honestly, on getting to that hospital, with that equipment, the Da Vinci robotic surgical machine, I was subjected under it. And as soon as I finished the operation, using that robotic machine, my wife, who has always suffered along with me and the children, and my friends, they were sitting outside, waiting for me to get out from the operation. But immediately, I could beckon to my wife, please, get that camera for me, because I always go around with camera, unless I could not just hold it. And you can imagine somebody being put on that sleep, having operation for prostate cancer some years back. How could I even know what was happening? But the moment I opened my eyes, I just spoke to the doctor, please let my wife move nearer. And she moved nearer, bring my camera, give to the doctor to take that photograph. So that's the picture taken by my doctor using my camera of that Da Vinci equipment. Honestly, we have outstanding Nigerians. If only they can have right equipment to do their work. And that's why I'm very happy and pleased with what I'll be able to see this morning with the effort of the Vice Chancellor and his wonderful team. You're on the right path of making Nigeria truly great. And God will bless you. And you students, you are very lucky to be in this environment. The AGO has spoken about vision. And we have also seen that vision is very important. I could see this MTU not just leading in West Africa, but becoming one of the leading universities in the world. If you go to the next slide, you will notice that on the top, I don't know whether you are following, on the top to the left, we have Toronto, and I'm happy the registrar mentioned original Toronto. I don't know whether some people understood that joke, because some years there was somebody who had fake Toronto as his own university. But I'm happy this is original Toronto building on the top. And to the right top, we have Kigali Institute of Technology, Rwanda. Being to Rwanda, you'll be surprised that a country that has gone through a lot of war could have outstanding instruments for research. Then at the bottom of that Kigali, you see that they are building new structures. And then on the other left side, below, you have the campus development of Mountaintop University, which I really admired. This some years back, and I could see that it's really going bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm looking forward to see that pond with a lot of fish in the nearest future by the grace of God. The next slide about some fundamental issues of universities. There's a solid structure of Stanford University in the US. Because when you talk of great universities, we've spoken that they must have good structures, they must have good structure for governance, they must also have good vision and mission. So that's good structure of Stanford University. Then the next one, you will notice that's University of Miami. Beautiful, clean avenues. Admirable. I'm not saying that university should be isolated from its community. But naturally, if you have clean, decent university environment, the adjoining areas will copy you and they become good. So also, the goodness of the university can go all over the whole country and all over globally. So the next slide also shows very attractive environment. The next slide, good modern parks. Most of our universities nowadays, you notice that many of them, they do not have good organized car parks to the extent that they obstruct one another when they are there. Directional signs are also shown. Next slide, please. These are key basic things shall be available as fundamental thing in university. And honestly, when I saw the pamphlet for MTU, I was very impressed with the directional layout of the campus. Well done, Mr. VC and his team. These are simple things that distinguish good universities for funny ones that have no vision. Clearly labeled buildings. This is University of Miami. You notice that admission center has been labeled, so you don't have to be going around asking, where is this building? Where is so and so? Then security is also very important. You will know evidence of security, because I noticed my brother, the MC, was talking that this place is very secure, no shaking. I hope I'm quoting you rightly, because okay, thank you. Because we could have some security around. I felt very happy that I was challenged many times before I could come in. That's the way it should be. I believe I was wondering at a stage when I learned that the VC said that Professor Odugbemi is around. We are expecting him. I said, how did he know? Could he be monitoring me that one way or the other? He was able to bail me out from the wonderful arms of the security people who didn't want me to come in with my car. So thank you for bailing me out. But I still don't know how you were able to manage that I was around at that time. So thank you. So these are some basic things that must be palpable in your university system. Security. You cannot compromise it. It's a very fundamental issue. Next slide. Outstanding scholars with respectable research output. It's not the number of fights you have that makes you great. People would like to know who are the people who are prize winners in your university. So abroad, for you to have good ranking, you must have scholars who are prize winners, including all these Nobel Prize. All these are key important things. Nigeria, we have created our own laureate too, that academics also aspire to. All these are incentives to ensure that universities are properly handled. Other critical issues for running university and for development in the university system. Entrepreneurship programs and acquisition of further skills, very important. Science, technology, innovation are key ingredients for development. You are nothing if you don't have good science base in the present world. Research should be relevant to the society, should be relevant to the country, and there must be social responsibility. So what is strong science and technology? And what is innovation? In this slide, I emphasize that in the world today, people pay attention to sports. And sports can also enhance the image of any university. Good athletes. I could remember that University of Sheffield honored one of the outstanding sports people that had Olympic gold. So this is the way to give incentives. So in short, in Yoruba, ọ̀nà kan ò wọjà. Nowadays, you now notice that many of our footballers are given good recognition abroad. So therefore, we should pay attention to sports. We should pay attention to vocational skills in whatever we do. Next slide. So I have emphasized science, technology, and innovation should not be compromised. Next slide. What is strong science and technology? There must be good research, basic research, that will create innovation. Then there will be links to local and international technology markets. Next slide. So that's simple definition of innovation, existing knowledge, adapted for new applications, and diffused through the economy. It may also be applied research to develop new uses for existing knowledge. Science and technology leading to new products, farms, and markets. Because if you have all these things and you don't have market for them, you are still nowhere. I've also laid emphasis on areas of STI in relationship to energy and power, transportation, housing, water resources, ICT, especially accessibility and utilization by different sectors. Energy is critically important for our economy, and I hope those people managing the affairs of our nation should pay attention to this aspect of energy. I'm from Southern Senatorial Zone of Ondo State. I'm not exaggerating that in the last 3 years or more, there have been no electricity whatsoever in that community. So how could people working in that economy ever make it? You are already sentencing them to poverty. These are basic things that should be seriously addressed by governments and those who have money to get things going on. Water too, you cannot do much without good water because of health implications. Things to know, there has to be a mechanism and program for promoting innovations and addressing challenges to the realization of science, technology, and innovation goals. Next slide. Next slide. I've already mentioned some key indices for making African economies globally competitive. This is a modification of some of the Africa Economic Forum. Issues related to food security, sorry for those who may not understand my Yoruba. If you are hungry, anger will follow, and there's little you can do. So there must be food security, so that we will not become beggars. Energy is critically important. Innovation, indigenous knowledge. I emphasize issues relating to medicinal plants. One of the early areas myself and the GO worked upon related to medicinal plants, because some years back there was challenges or some people uses of herbal preparations, and with the herbal preparations they now notice the fact that they have more complications from inadequate dosages. That led us to more research work on medicinal plants. And today we have extensive plants that are rare that you can see at Igbo Olodumare, because I noticed the registrar mentioned that aspect about my humble background at Okegbo. So there are many of these indigenous things we should be able to pay attention to. Next slide. So science is most effective university system if the university education is of high quality, relevant to national needs, relevant to global trends, linked to local and international technology. Next slide. So invariably, information and communications technology very critically important. They must be accessible, and utilization must be by all sectors, not limited to certain sectors, all sectors. The next slide. ICT should be given adequate attention in our universities in order to make them truly world-class. that can compete favorably with other institutions of repute in a globally competitive world. Development and deployment of various web-based information systems accessible via the university's website provides staff, students, members of the public, and the international community comprehensive information about the operations and activities of your universities. I feel happy. How many of you have been checking your website, MTU website? Let me see your hands. See you've been checking your website. Please, if you have not been checking, check regularly. You can also add to the beauty by contributing your ideas into it. Because right in that photograph, you have Mountain-Top University ICT Center to the left, Electronic Test Center for Unilag on the right. So universities are not universities without good ICT units. So all efforts should be made to get all these things in place. Next slide. Challenges to the realization of running great universities in Nigeria are listed. Education, because if people are not properly educated, there is problem. Corruption, societal indiscipline, environment, whether social environment, physical environment, or even political environment. If not favorable, you are in problem. Training selection, critically important. Funding, program quality, ICT infrastructure, service delivery, and research. All these are interwoven and critically important. Next slide. So what's the value of any education? If products of the educational system do not positively impact on their society and environment, I've been saying much about this, that you have a qualification, you cannot get job, and you cannot see means of getting job for yourself. You are searching job all around. So our university system must be able to adapt in such a way that our curriculum will favor some of our students to be employers or laborers instead of being job seekers. So education is also meant to serve as a tool to improve our towns, local government areas, states, country, and even our continent, Africa. Next slide. The foundation of any viable education system is primary school level. Successful nations appreciate this and go to considerable length to build it as a great launching pad for human capital. So I've also emphasized the issue related to character building. Next time. I say some of these things repetitively so that you can appreciate the importance of what we are talking about as fundamental issues for running universities. Corruption diverts capital from equitable and socially beneficial purposes towards wrong-headed policies decisions which deprive the country of the best of our potential. The present wave of terrorism ravaging some parts of the country may be as a result of the case of corruption, impunity of perpetrators, coupled with the failure of successive governments to provide quality, affordable education to Nigerian children. When you notice some of these are young ones singing this morning, we thank God that they are being properly utilized. They are wonderful singers. I wish I could sing again so that I can go and enter a course in such a program. So they must keep it up. Selling handouts in a university is still a big disease. So even years back, one of the major Nigerian newspapers highlighted it, saying how grave poor staffing other public universities. Is it true as it was before? Next slide. Corruption, as far as I'm concerned, is an emergency that needs to be tackled sincerely, not by pretending. It has to be tackled sincerely. Many of us, when we see issues related to corruption, we turn our faces away, either because of lack of courage or I can't understand. Some years back, myself and my family, we were traveling on a particular road, and here was a policeman standing in the middle of the road, stopping us. I knew where he was going, but I pretended. He said, where is your license? Where is your this? And so on. We were showing him one thing after the other. He looked more furious. He said, just go and park there. So we now parked at the roadside. He now came out more forcefully. Oga, either you like it or not, you must cough out something today. Even if now my mama, I will get something from that my mama. Things are terrible. I pity the man on the middle of the road, even telling me that if it is his mommy, he will take money. But fortunately, I don't know what allowed him to allow us to go. He allowed us to go without parting with any of my kobo. We have to see how to educate some of these people. That's the general trend in the whole country. Next slide. So honesty, hard work, and expression of all good values that we used to honor and teach as civics should be reinstated as model attributes of good citizenship. Not the acquisition of wealth by any means that are not decent and honorable. It is very painful when you now hear some of our people showing off their wealth instead of such money being put into education and health. I even understand that some people are even going to the extent of giving dollars in parties. That is not showing wealth. That is only showing poverty or spirituality. Because if you see people who are poor around you, and you cannot put the money on worthy effect, that's not good for the system. So such habits must be discouraged. Next slide. So there is general societal indiscipline, and we must try to comport ourselves decently. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. The issue of ethnicity too, tribalism, and sentimentalities have continued to take their tolls on the society. This ugly development, if not curtailed, could lead to further division of our fragile corporate existence as a country. What's your business trying to know which is your ethnic tribe before you give out job? Things should be based on merit. And that's what university system is all about. Years back, our universities are populated by people from various races, so also students from all races. But gradually things are turning to the stage. Even in some universities located in some villages, they would not like to see faces of people who are not from that village. Either that person qualified or not qualified, they just want to push him or push her. All this behavior should change. So therefore, in university system, we must de-emphasize ethnicity, tribalism, sentimentalism. Next slide. Punctuality, critically important. Rules and regulations are prerequisites to instill and maintain order and discipline. And these are not for manipulation in the hands of authority. Because most of the time you see people competing for some positions, not because they want to get the job done to make positive impact. It's because of some of the booties they will get out of the position. Next slide. Our environment is a part of our God-given resources. Apart from this, our environment reflects our personality. I hope you are still following me with the PowerPoints. Notice the filth dumped in the drains. Don't go yet. Yeah. No, my friend. You are moving too fast. Go back. Sorry, my teacher and me will always be teacher and me. There were dumps always placed in some places. These are areas we can also carry out research. That is, research must be relevant to society. So, what are we doing about junks in our environment? Next slide. See that, please look at it carefully. You will notice a man carrying a woman in a pool of water. So that man, is he a trafficker or a transporter? Because when I look at her carrying a woman on her head, you might be tempted to say, is this a trafficker? But if he says he's not a trafficker and he calls himself a transporter, has he got any license to do that? So these are some things in our society. By the time you put dumps on garbages, you have this type of flooded streets. Next slide. I can still not understand. I used this slide 10 years ago. And if you go along some of our roads, they see sun dry some of our food products that will be in our markets. What is honestly wrong with us? Why should we be sun drying our food on the roadside with a lot of jams, with some of the chemicals fuming from the roads? We mean that our research should be able to approach why are people behaving this way. So social scientists also have challenges. Public health people also have challenges to change people's habits. The next slide. We are talking of respiratory tract illnesses. People are also talking about climate change. We see burn a lot of fumes, lot of garbage on our streets, making the environment unhealthy. These are areas I will expect Mountaintop University to tackle honestly so as to make our research relevant to societal needs. Next slide. I'm happy most of Lagos roads are now getting rid of the Ketty buses, because buses like this should never be allowed because of dangers to individuals and dangers to the climate. Next slide. Yeah, overloading of passengers on what we call Okada. This is another aspect that I cannot understand. Why don't we respect life, human life, animal life? Research has been done over and over that helmet could make us safe in case of accident. But you see, notice that our people overload, carrying children, carrying newborn. I hope you are seeing the PowerPoints. These are areas where I say our research must be relevant to societal needs. Next slide. Sanitary rooms. Most of our sanitary rooms are dirty, unkempt. Even in some highly placed places in Nigerian government offices, you'll be shocked to notice that some of their toilets are already blocked. Not the actual toilet being blocked. Even the rooms are blocked with garbage and the doors locked up. Why do we do things that way? Sanitary rooms should be clean, decent. So that's what is the issue, fundamental issue of running good universities. I've got a situation in which I wanted to attract some foreign students to one of the institutions I was in the past. But the students, by the time they spent about 2 months, because of unhygienic practices they noticed around, they disappeared. Next slide. Adequate waste disposal must be available on our streets, in our institutions. Next slide. Bad habits of posting things on the wall should stop. Provide notice boards. Next slide. Other challenges within the university system: bad and inexperienced management team, poor leadership qualities, rowdy and uncommitted students, undue and irregular interference with university administration by the council, parents of students, unions, and communities. There must be positive change in making things better for this our country. Way forward. The society, the university management, the staff, we must work hand in hand to make sure that university system will impact positively on the society. So that's what that slide is portraying. Next slide. International collaboration is critically important. And I can see MTU surmounting many of the challenges some of the old universities have, so that one day there will be foreign students, because that's what university is all about. It's not about local champions. It's about having people from all places of the world. That particular slide, that old slide, showed the VC of University of Lagos some years back, visiting Beijing Institute of Technology, the VC exchanging gift with the president of Beijing Institute of Technology in form of partnership. Next slide. High academic standards to attract international students, international staff, and provide good staff services. If we create offices for international relationship or international relations or partnership, if we go a long way. It was created at University of Lagos some years back, and I'm happy with this person who is the chairman. He's doing very well. He makes the office very attractive. Next slide. Social responsibility. You will notice in the middle, the GO of this great MTU, Dr. D.K.Olukoya Olukoya, is at UNILAG, and the VC of UNILAG also there, along with myself. And here we are in warm embrace. It has been warm, excellent relationship with the GO over the years. Because when it was about donating the laboratory to UNILAG, he sent a text to me that he would like me to be physically present. Who am I not to obey my great GO? We've been close over the years. I felt happy that he's a great scientist, as was introduced by the registrar in his comment. The GO was my first BSc honors student. Great scholar, great scientist, very meticulous with his job. After we have got very late into the day, and series of assignments given to him, you could be sure late in the evening, I will be one of the few people to knock on his door. How far the work had gone. He could either be praying at that time, but he will always have time for me that tomorrow morning, by the time you are on your officer, it will be on your table. He's a man of considerable vision. When you now see the fact that he's respected as a molecular biologist, there's no doubt about it. Outstanding scholar who made the first class in medical microbiology years back. I could not recognize if anybody has seen made any first class since his time. It's been great. And as highlighted by the registrar, we had warm relationship. I will expect you young students to have positive relationship with your teachers. Some students will be expecting references from their lecturers, whereas their lecturer will not know anything about them. There's no way that will work. You must be good student before you can be given references. All these are critically important. What was also remarkable about Gio was the fact that in the early days, he would still find time. You know, I've spoken about the fact that he was outstanding scholar, molecular biology, medicinal plants. Just talk about it, interested in such research. After very busy hours in the laboratory, he would still find time to come to my place to teach my children music. So if I now see people taking courses in music, I'm not surprised at all, because I know he has that vision. If you teach them music before going for prayer session and so on. And one of those people he was teaching musical instruments or anything like that, he's even here with us as a lecturer in the College of Medicine. I will find time to convince her if he could leave that lecturer job for some time and come and take course which was suspended some years back at Matriculation University. Because I myself, I wish I could come round to carry out some work on this music. I enjoy the music so much. Next slide. Yes, social responsibility is very important. I can't remember whether this is 2009, first grad graduates receiving car gifts from the GO. You see me in my agbada, while the GO was on top. It was a great, impressive show, which will encourage young people to study hard and more. Nigerian things are upside down. Stolen money given for parties instead of helping to encourage young ones to excel. All this behavior must change. So I appreciate him for donating something for first-class graduates, which will be stimulus for them. Next slide. Teamwork. I have seen the evidence of teamwork in MTU. Keep on the spirit. A person cannot do it alone. You will notice some years back I traveled over to New York. I met some of the top officials of Microsoft. And in a course of discussion, I spoke to them. I would like to introduce laptop for all staff and students. in my place of work. Yes, that was 2009. They said they will give you all full support. And truly, they gave full support. And we started that idea of laptop for all. And we noticed us, myself in my comfortable adire at that time, because each time I'm in suit, it's always a big trouble for me. Because my children will harass me. Because I have that habit of always eating pounded yam. Because of the area I've come from, it is yam, if possible, 3 times in a day. But they have restricted me that I can only take yam only in the afternoon. They said it's making you fat. You can't put on your suit properly because of this yam all the time. So we will now devise strategy to overcome that problem. If they now ask me, what would you like for lunch? I won't say yam because I know it will have restriction from them. They will say no. I will say anything will go. And they know once I say anything, they will not try to do everything to make me happy. And I know yam will come on the table. So if you not see that my tummy is still bulging, it's because I've refused to stop eating yam. So you can see I felt comfortable being that adire. So that's wonderful teamwork. Next slide. In order to encourage others to use the laptop, we devised strategy to increase visibility of the university at that time on international scene. Because your ranking will not go up if you do not carry out research. Your ranking will not go up if people cannot see evidence of your publications on websites. So we devised strategy that whoever that did very well, having enough publications on university website, there will be a laptop for that department. It worked very well. Within shortest possible time, many of us have started putting many of the publications on the website, thus increasing our visibility. So you see a lot of computers being given to one group or the other. So we didn't regret it. So access to ICT tools, either the hardware or software, very important. Next slide. I've spoken about hardware and software. Next slide. Programs in university should have high quality, should be practicable, relevant to the needs, trainees, community, society, humanities. Next slide. Research must be relevant to the needs of the society, contribute to IGR. Next slide. Funding, critically important. We have to make up our mind in this country. Universities cannot be poorly funded. There may be need for tuition fees, grants, research and patents, donations, endowments, alumni contributions, and advancement. It is terrible that poor people who cannot afford school fees in former years, they have scholarships from their communities. Instead of the money being given for dancing on the streets, the money can be for research purposes. The money can go for helping the poor people. Next slide. Service delivery, effective, efficient, accessible, sustainable. Next slide. Staff in a university should be team players. They must be creative, innovative. They must be rugged, ready to adapt to changes. So I can imagine those of you that are coming in as pioneer students and pioneer staff. Life is not easy, and I wish you well. It's not easy. And should not be opportunistic. Next slide. I've listed these important attributes of management, staff, and students. I listed teamwork, courage, focus, commitment, sustainability, faith, truthfulness, contentment, passion for what you are doing, sincerity, punctuality, timeliness, integrity, selflessness, and being reliable. Very important. Next slide. Training, qualification is very important. Next slide. Mentorship and role modeling, very important. Next slide. Our youth need guidance. We need to emphasize mentorship in our institutions. Next slide. That's a professor putting her hands or her arms over the shoulders of another student. I was looking, immediately I had to pick my camera from my pocket to really admire that type of relationship existing between a professor and the student. Next slide. University staff should be role models to our students. I have this popular catchphrase that people always joke about, that staff should be mentors and not tormentors. You don't need to torment your students, you have to make them happier. And as faculty, you should follow the progress of your students, not only during university days, but even after their graduation. Next slide. Our universities now, they must make our products to enjoy employment ability of products. Because some of the university ranking now goes by that. What's the point producing graduates that will not get job? Please, MTU should also take that as a challenge. This is your 2 years. By the time you are turning out some of these graduates, you must also plan how they will be gainfully employed in future. Next slide. Entrepreneurship and university system. There is no way you will not have to pay attention to entrepreneurship. It's not big jargons, simple things. Even in secondary school many years back, there used to be Young Farmers Club. Even in my school, Christ School, we had carpentry being done. We may not appreciate that it was a form of entrepreneurship. But I could remember some of our young ones in Young Farmers Club, they have yam, they have different potato food products, and to the right, you will see some of our students in my former university with ability to do tailoring. Because when you see some good clothes by famous Italian companies, British companies, there is nothing wrong Nigerian producing. Those who will produce all this Gucci, they sell all around. As I always say, so let us make sure that we teach our students to be competitive. Next slide. My little effort at my former university, we did not joke about fishery products. We had wonderful team that we assembled together. I thank God that many of them are also here today. I've enjoyed seeing their faces, from the VC to Professor Akiwande. All these are outstanding scholars. Because if you notice over there, some of the fishes we could get from our ponds, because we had almost earthen ponds, about 70, 90 fiber tanks with about 500 fishes in each one. So you can be sure that all these things are achievable. We were able to produce our own palm oil. We were able to produce lots and lots of pineapples. Next slide. So we bottled our pineapple into original pineapple juices, bottled water. Next slide. What impressed me is the fact that some of the materials you are seeing there are being sold abroad. Some of them are from Rwanda, some of them from Uganda. Do you know that even in Canada, some Ghanaians sell some local product like yam, and they make a lot of money. So we must change our orientation.